So guys, we'll kick off. Good morning and welcome to today's webinar, Do More Every Day with the new Microsoft 365. I'm going to start with some housekeeping before I move into the agenda and speakers for today. I'll start off with questions. So if there's any questions, please pop them into the question box, send them through, and we're going to go through them towards the end of today's webinar. Now, in the unlikely event that you experience any technical difficulties through the course of today, I'll ask you to reach out to Dahida on the phone number that's displayed there on slide 2 before we kick off. And just as a reminder, if you're not currently on mute, if you can pop yourself on mute for the duration of the webinar. So let me take you through today's agenda. And by way of introduction, I'm Raj Kedia. I'm the head of managed services here at Brennan IT. Along with me, we're fortunate enough to have both Adam Pollington and Nicholas Chariton from Microsoft to take us through an introduction to Microsoft 365, along with a demonstration of its capabilities, which of course is why we're all here. I'll conclude by talking briefly on how Brennan IT is going to be able to help your business. So let me set the scene by describing some of the realities of business today. So according to the Harvard Business Review, people on average spend 50% more time today in collaborative activities than they did 2 decades ago. We see this brought to life in the layout of modern day office spaces and the shift to collaborative and intelligent workspaces. Teams need to be agile and respond quickly to new information. We're moving into a world where instant sharing and immediate feedback is the new norm. We see this phenomenon play out in our social lives through social media, and we're seeing that paradigm shift into the way which we conduct ourselves in the workplace also. Meanwhile, people are spending less and less time at their desks in one place. In fact, research shows that 37% of the global workforce is actually mobile. That's going to grow to 42% just in the next 3 years. So the opportunity for us as employers is to allow our employees to connect and to remain productive even when they're not situated in the same room together. So at the same time, we're living in a world where cyber threats are becoming more of a reality each day. 43% of cyber attacks are actually targeted at small business. This is disrupting the way in which we work and our ability to secure our company's all-important data. Most of us will vividly recall the notable attacks of WannaCry and Petya, which occurred earlier this year. And although no Brennan customers were impacted by either of those 2 events, you would have absolutely seen the impact globally in both occurrences. So let me take you through the new culture of work. We're now moving towards a place where we could have staff members ranging anywhere from 18 years of age to 80 in the same workplace. This has a significant implication for companies such as yours when it comes to addressing the needs and the wants of a workplace that spans multiple generations. Employees, especially millennials, they need a sense of purpose. No longer are they driven or motivated and content by just what they do, but moreover, why they do it. We're expected to leverage our best expertise without concerning ourselves with boundaries, especially when it comes to those physical and geographical boundaries. And as mentioned before, we're working in a context where we need to be all vigilant to the increasing volume and number of cyber threats that encroach our work on a day-to-day basis. So let's take a look at what things look like for small business today. Customers' IT infrastructure is becoming more and more fragmented as they attempt to improve workforce productivity. The irony is that fragmentation means that customers are actually spending more money with you, but aren't necessarily translating into profit because there's an increase in costs for you as the organization. When customers add new services and solutions to fill gaps in their IT, whether those gaps might be real or perceived, they're actually holding on to legacy systems, which are described as good enough type platforms, which are costly to manage. Many customers are also using a wide range of different endpoint devices, which makes it cumbersome for you to implement any sort of best practice or standardization when it comes to security or business continuity, because you need to source fragmented solutions outside of that core Microsoft stack. So on that note, Brennan has enjoyed a really rewarding and complementary relationship with Microsoft over the years. We've been a gold partner of them for some time, and most recently we're fortunate enough to attend Microsoft Inspire in DC back in July, where we heard about Microsoft 365 and its launch. So it's been available in public preview for a couple of weeks now, so we thought it timely to provide the Australian mid-market an early opportunity to gain some insights into what it's all about and the positive impact that it absolutely will have on how you conduct your business. On that note, I'll hand over to Adam Pollington, Commercial Product Manager, Microsoft.
Thanks, Raj. So I'm sure a number of you on the call today can relate to some of those challenges that were just outlined by Raj. Now, for Microsoft to help you address some of these challenges that you may be facing and to really help simplify and standardize your IT infrastructure within your business, Microsoft is on the cusp of releasing a new integrated product offering for businesses, really targeted at companies like yours, which may have between 100 to 300 odd employees. And it's called Microsoft 365 Business. Now, many of you may have heard of another version of Microsoft 365 called Microsoft 365 Enterprise, which is for larger organizations. But for the duration of today, we're going to dive deep on the small and medium business offering. So what does Microsoft 365 Business actually include? Well, it's really aiming to bring together 3 best-in-class solutions from Microsoft: Office 365, Windows 10, and then the Enterprise Mobility Suite. Now, let me dive into each of these in a little more detail. Firstly, Office 365. Microsoft 365 Business includes the Office 365 Business Premium Suite, which, as you can see on this slide here, includes the common desktop applications that you'd be familiar with today: Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, OneNote, etc. Online services such as Exchange Online for email, OneDrive for Business for cloud storage, Skype for Business and Microsoft Teams for chat-based voice and video communication. And more recently, we've announced the launch of new line of business applications, which will come included within Microsoft 365 Business for no additional charge. Let me dive a little deeper on what some of these line of business applications include. You may have heard of Microsoft Bookings and Outlook Customer Manager. If you're an Office 365 Business Premium subscriber today, you already have access to these. Microsoft Bookings is an application that enables you to set up an online booking site for customers to book services online. Outlook Customer Manager is a customer relationship management application that is built into Outlook and enables you to consolidate all of your engagements with customers, whether they be phone calls, emails, appointments, and so forth, into one single central location. But there's more of these line of business applications to come. We haven't yet announced a launch date, but when they do come to market, they will land within Microsoft 365 Business. So what do these look like? We have Microsoft Invoicing on the way, which is effectively an application that enables you to create professional-looking electronic invoices and enable functionality such as integrated PayPal payments that can be made directly by the customer to your business from within the invoice. Microsoft Connections, essentially an email marketing platform, which enables you to set up distribution lists, create newsletters, which you may publish out to your customer base or your friends and family for referral offers and so forth. And Microsoft Listings, which is essentially a tool that enables you to publish all of your business information to multiple locations on the web with the click of a button. For example, your business name, contact details, all pushed out to Bing business directories, Google, Facebook, Yelp, and so forth, all with one click. And we'll also be introducing Microsoft Business Center. Think of this as a portal that pulls in all of the relevant information across these other business applications that I've just mentioned above. So for example, you may log into Microsoft Business Center and see that you have 3 new appointments that have been booked by your customers in Microsoft Bookings. You may have an email newsletter scheduled for Friday later that week, and you may have 2 outstanding invoices. And all of that information will be surfaced within Microsoft Business Center. So that's Office 365. But Microsoft 365 Business also includes complimentary upgrade rights to Windows 10 Pro. This also comes with some exclusive features and functionality to Microsoft 365 called Windows 10 Business. Now, Nico, my colleague, is going to cover some of these features in a demonstration in just a moment, but there are 3 of those benefits that you can see on screen now: Windows Defender security controls, Windows AutoPilot, and automatic Office apps deployment. I would just call out that to access the complimentary Windows 10 Pro upgrade, you do need to be running Windows 7, 8, or 8.1 Pro on your existing machines to access that complimentary upgrade. And Microsoft 365 Business also brings forward the best of EMS and Intune, features that are most relevant to businesses of a small to medium size, integrated into the Microsoft 365 Business solution. Now, I did mention before that this is an integrated product, and by that I mean that all of these 3 products are not independent solutions with a branding wrapper of Microsoft 365. From an engineering standpoint, these are truly integrated. So by that I mean you can log into one single back-end system and manage all of the features and functionality across the Office, Windows, and EMS components from one destination, which makes the deployment and management within your business and amongst your users significantly less complex than maybe you've traditionally been used to. Now, the functionality within these products that I've just outlined really delivers business value in 4 key areas. And I thought I might just take a few minutes to deep dive into each of these. Now, firstly, Microsoft 365 Business is designed to allow your employees to achieve more together. Now, Raj mentioned earlier the importance of collaboration, that employees are now spending 50% more time in collaborative activities. With Microsoft 365 Business and the inclusion of Office 365, you're able to co-author and collaborate on documents within common applications like Word, Excel, and PowerPoint simultaneously. No longer do your employees need to wait until a file is finished being edited by one employee before they can jump in and make changes. This can now be done in unison. Microsoft 365 Business includes Skype for Business and Microsoft Teams, which enables your employees, whether they are in the office or remotely, to connect via voice, video, and chat through those specific apps. And we're also providing within this solution OneDrive for Business and SharePoint, giving you the ability to replace your file server and effectively have all of your documents on the cloud, accessible by all your employees at any one point in time, ensuring that everyone is always working off the most recent version of the document. Microsoft 365 Business has also taken a particular focus around enabling mobile scenarios. So we know, again, back to Raj's point earlier, that 37% of the workforce today is on average mobile at any one point in time. Your employees may be working from home, they may be working from a client's office, they may be out remote, and Microsoft 365 Business is designed to work across all devices, so tablet, PCs, and mobile phones, regardless of where you're based. And if you do happen to find yourself in a situation where internet availability isn't present, that's not an issue. You can go ahead and continue to edit those work documents. And when you do again regain internet connectivity, those changes will be synchronized back up to the server. From a security standpoint, this is of course critical, and by way of Microsoft 365 Business, regardless of whether you have 1 employee or 300 employees, you are getting access to enterprise-grade security, which gives you a significant peace of mind. We know that those traditional IT boundaries are starting to blur and fade as your employees more and more bring their own devices to the workplace and aren't necessarily being provided company devices. And so the need to have the relevant security on those devices is increasingly important. And with Microsoft 365 Business, that security is built in and is effectively working behind the scenes at all points in time. Windows 10 and Office 365 will automatically be kept up to date, assuming that you enable those features and functionality on the back end. And there's a whole host of new features which are particularly interesting. So for example, if you have an employee that may bring their own device to the workplace, and at some point in time in the future they decide to exit the company, you can remotely effectively wipe all corporate data, all company data from those employees' devices without touching any of their personal information. So we can isolate those work documents that you no longer want them to have access to and have those removed. And then lastly, we've been very focused around creating a solution that is simple. Simple in a number of ways. I mentioned earlier the single integrated backend admin experience to manage features and functionality. That's huge. I wouldn't underestimate the power that that will bring. But there are a number of other areas where we're focused on simplification. Azure Active Directory is included within Microsoft 365 Business, which effectively enables both you and your employees to reduce the number of passwords and login details, credentials they need to remember across all of the various applications that they're using within any day, and really simplify that down to that one Azure Active Directory login. We're also looking to introduce Windows AutoPilot, which I mentioned earlier, and Nico will demo in a moment. But this, at a high level, effectively enables you to receive a new device within your business for, let's say, a new employee, and significantly reduce the time it takes to have that machine set up and enabled, because effectively a partner like Brennan can do all of the provisioning of policies and user settings from the cloud, and the device can ship directly from a manufacturer to your business. And when you or your employee logs in for the first time, all of those policies and settings, applications will all automatically download and be provisioned. So gone are the days of taking a period of time to actually get that device set up to enable your staff member to be productive. So look, with that context, I think I'll pause there, and I'd now like to hand over to my colleague Nicholas, who will provide a demonstration of Microsoft 365 Business in action. Over to you, Nico.
Thank you. Can you hear me? I'm trying to share my screen. The first thing I want to show you guys is the dashboard, the administration dashboard. That this is what Adam was talking about as a single console. And if you're familiar with Office 365 Admin Console, this is the evolution of that console. So the first thing that you will see is on the left you will see the menu, and this is the menu where you will be able to access all the settings in details. And in the main panel you will see at the very top a universal search bar, which will help you find users or settings or particular things within this admin console, and also a setup wizard. And this is what we're gonna go through in a second. And at the bottom, you'll see all these cards that will give you access to the top policies that are most used, so you can have links directed to that. Some of them will be devices, for example. This is not only the Office 365 console, but now you have, as Adam mentioned, the unified mobile device management options. And here is where you will be able to remove company data if one of those devices is lost or stolen. You will be able to factory reset that device as well and manage Office deployment. At the same time, you have Windows 10, and you can see that here you can install in the machine that you're running, or you can send a link to all your employees for them to install in their machines as well. And as Adam mentioned, if they are running Windows 7 or 8.1 Pro, they will have the upgrade benefits at no additional cost. Adam, if you go to the next slide, I think there are some pop-up messages that will show up. But if you go to the next slide, this is the step number 1. In this step, you will be able to connect to a domain if you have one, or if you don't have one, you can create or accept the one that Microsoft 365 Business is going to give you. And if you click on Next, you're going to go to the next screen. If you go to the next slide, please, Adam. In here, you will have a list of users that you can create. You will select name, last name, and username. In here, you will be creating the personas and the aliases for your employees. And of course, if you have, if you want to make it in bulk and upload a list of employees, you can do so from the panel that I mentioned before with a CSV file. So that's kind of an Excel file with all the details of all the employees. If you click to the next screen, you will be able to provision all the licenses for Microsoft 365, like Outlook and PowerPoint, Excel, and so on, to the users that you have created. And you go to the next screen, and this is where you will be able to create a new email tenant, or if you have an email that you want to migrate, this is where you'll be able to start that process as well. Now, for new users, we should say this is fairly simple, but for customers that already have an email account, this is something that requires a bit more of expertise, so we highly recommend that they reach out to the trusted partner, and we know that Brennan IT is excellent at that, and they will be able to ensure that this transition is seamless and you don't lose any data in the process. So highly recommended that you get in touch with Brennan to do so. And if we go to the next step, this is step number 3. In here, you will be able to set up all the policies for the devices, starting with devices that go across Windows 10, Android, and iOS. And at the top, as you can see, you will be protecting your devices in case they are lost or stolen. And with these simple buttons, you will be able to select what happens with the information. So, for example, you will be able to delete all the work files after a period of time where the device has been inactive, or you can make sure that all your employees are saving the devices in the cloud in OneDrive for Business, and you can encrypt your files as well. So your data will be protected no matter what. On the bottom side, you can see that in here you can select how your employees access on mobile devices that usually are personal devices, and you can require them a PIN or fingerprint scan to access the Office apps, and also make sure that they have to reset the PIN after many attempts and they are failed if they want to access, in case they are not the one trying to access that phone. Or you can require them to sign in again, or even restrict for those applications to be accessed from jailbroken devices, because that might be compromised. And the last point you can see there is that allow users to copy content from Office apps into personal apps. And you can restrict that. We call that information protection. And with this option, you will restrict all the data that is business related. So imagine if you're working on an Excel file that contains personal information about your customers, or if it is an email that you're sending to one of your employees with sensitive data, that information cannot be copied and pasted into a personal application like an email client or WhatsApp, for example. There will be a pop-up saying that the administrator is not allowing that. If you go to the next slide, in this one, you will see all the options to set up Windows 10 devices and that configuration, starting with the Windows Defender antivirus and Microsoft Edge as defaults. You can select that or not. And I want to reinforce that Windows 10 comes with Windows Defender antivirus. This is a really, really powerful antivirus. And to give you an example, it's the only antivirus that we use at Microsoft. You can also turn off the screens after a certain amount of time. You can allow or deny users to download applications from the Windows Store. You can restrict the use of Cortana. And also you can set users to receive or not tips and advertisements from Microsoft. So you can set that off as well. And you can also make sure that the automatic updates for Windows 10 are in place, or you can delay those. Finally, you will see the install Office on Windows 10 devices, and that's an option that you can say yes or no and will be automatically deployed across all new devices. In the last screen, you will see that that was the end. That was it. So a user that is setting up this for the first time can quickly go through this process, and it's very, very simple. And we have brought all the most used policies. There are more than 100 policies into just a few buttons. So this is a really, really good way to set up this wizard. The second experience that I wanted to show you, and Adam, please can you go to slide number, I think is 13. This is the first slide on AutoPilot that talks about the language. AutoPilot is the way we are going to ensure that you have a modern deployment in your company. AutoPilot is something that we created because some of the customers, or most of our customers, were complaining about the experience of the users when they receive a new device. In the past, they would receive that device, open it from the box, and they would have to take it to an expert. Probably you would take it to Brennan IT, or you would have someone in-house that is the expert, and that person will take a few hours to ensure that you had in that device all the policies related to that person's profile, and also all the applications like Office 365 desktop applications and others that you might be using in your business. With this one, we are trying to bring this experience seamless, that is self-served by the user, and we call it zero-touch deployment. So the experience from someone when they open for the first time that device is as follows. Adam, can you go from this slide to the next one? And as I'm talking, please go through. The first screen that they will see is to select their language. And in the next one, they will select the region. They click on next, and they will go to select the keyboard. When they go next, they will have an option to add a secondary keyboard, in my case, Spanish, because I am from Argentina. Otherwise, you will skip it. And in the next one, they will ask you to connect to a network. And this network is not necessarily the work network. It can be any network. In this case, you can see in this example, we have a home network. What's going to happen in the background, in the next slide, you'll see that the person will enter the credentials, the password. And what is happening in the background is that the device through internet is going to go to Microsoft servers and identify that the partner, in this case, Brennan IT, has been doing all the setup for the individuals in your organization on your behalf. So Brennan has customized all those profiles. They created all the policies, they assigned all the applications, and they have all that ready for you to get that provisioned. When you buy the devices from a manufacturer, the manufacturer will give Brennan a list of those devices, similar to the serial numbers, and Brennan will be doing that matching on the background to make sure that when the user gets the device for the first time, maybe even direct from the manufacturer, the experience goes very, very seamless. And you will see in the next slide, once this person is connected, it's going to bring a welcome experience where they have to include their email. And Adam, I'm on slide 23 right now, where the person will see a bar to enter their email address with the logo of the company. So now this person has an experience that is related to the company, and as soon as they go and put the email address there, it's going to provision everything and bring back all the applications, policies, and so on. And if you can advance to slide 27, there is a video there where you will see that once this user is on Windows and it's operational, in the first time they are opening Windows, they will have all the applications like the expenses applications, CRM, or Office 365 applications as well provisioned there, and they are ready to go. And you can see if you go to the admin or the setup, you can see that that device is also joined into the Azure Active Directory, and that is being managed by this console that I showed you before in the setup. And that is a very, very simple experience and something that our customers have been asking for a long time, and we're bringing finally to Windows through Microsoft 365 Business. Guys, back to you. That was the end of my demo.
So thanks, Adam and Nicholas, for providing that demonstration to us. A lot of really good content. I'm sure all of our attendees would agree that in a really short amount of time, we've gained a lot of valuable insights into Microsoft 365 and what it's going to mean for your business. Now, before we open for questions, I want to take you through briefly how Brennan IT can help you from here. So first and foremost, you can procure licenses for Microsoft 365 through Brennan IT. Our hardware and software practice offers a flexible and efficient means by which to address any and all of your Microsoft 365 or any other Microsoft licensing needs. Beyond this, our well-established professional services group has a team of Microsoft specialists with abundant experience who can support you all the way from solution, specification and design, all the way through to implementation and integration. From there, we can provide you an end-to-end managed services offering to provide ongoing support of the solution post-implementation. So from an MS perspective, we're actually working with Microsoft and internal stakeholders here to develop a Microsoft 365 bundle for you. That's going to include licensing, end user support, and some other value add-ons. We're going to have that simplified in a single per user or per seat pricing model for ease. This can be launched alongside the general availability of Microsoft 365 as it comes out later this year. So in terms of the Brennan IT difference, let me start off with our service teams. Our service teams are designed from top to bottom to provide fast and effective responses to your technology needs. Your support calls are handled by a focused and intimate team of engineers and service desk agents, all led by a service manager who's your primary point of engagement, improvement, and interaction for any service-related issues. Beyond that, we've got our 24/7 service desk. The key differentiator with our service desk is the technical skill that the service desk agents actually possess. It's well above average, and the individuals are broadly certified in all the technologies we support. They're actually incentivized to do so. What that means is that we have a higher than average rate of first level resolution because our service desk agents are able to resolve far more complex issues rather than requiring escalation to level 2 and level 3 type resolver groups. Regarding our service, our culture drives both client and staff satisfaction. Our vision is to be unbeatable at delivering the best service outcomes for our clients and our people. So beyond just meeting contractual and service level type obligations, we evaluate our success in the same way you do, based on your satisfaction. So not only do we measure every single interaction we have with our customers using the standard Net Promoter Score method, but our teams are actually remunerated and bonus based on the targets that are achieved in client satisfaction. So most importantly, of course, we are a gold partner of Microsoft, which has afforded us the ability to bring you these product insights today. And lastly, it's also worth noting that the public preview for Microsoft 365 has been available since the 2nd of August. So what does that mean to you? It means that it can be licensed and utilized in your organization on trial at no charge up until the time that MS releases it for general availability. This is likely to be later on this year. So right now, you've got a real and compelling opportunity to take advantage and jump on board for the opportunity.